Concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
Too beautiful a day. If I had a more chiseled physique, I would be ripping off my Hulkamania shirt right now. I mean, it's just too good. Bradshaw with you here on WebcastOneLive.com, Fallon Forum, or TheBradshawShow.com. You tune in on Mixlr if you just want the audio feed. It's all there. TheBradshawShow.com has links to everything. Set your bookmarks accordingly. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Frank Mink will be... I finally, it hit me last night while I was doing some homework for today's show of why Frank and I are friends. Not that Frank. Little Frankie, former Nazi. He is as dumb a person as I am. I will explain what that means later. First, few big stories. One, last night. We'll get to the biggest of the big in just a minute. But last night, Mitt Romney sat down. He was being Hannitized on Fox News and said that his 47% remarks were completely wrong. Now, correct me. Dan, do you know the name of Mitt Romney's book?
Does it involve flip-flopping?
No. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It is No Apologies, except for last night on the Sean Hannity Show, where 2 weeks after doubling down on his 47% remarks, and the right wing, and the folks who love, whitey tapes and strong, makes their PPs feel bigger. We're all over him, but it's been a couple weeks now. It turns out that they're rather disastrous comments that are causing him to lose support. So now they were completely wrong. He's sorry that he claimed 47% of Americans are, moochers who will never take personal responsibility for their lives. He's sorry, everyone. Really, he means it. No, really. Etch-a-sketch. Sometime last night, someone vandalized an Obama campaign building. This one on Hubble has a blue banner, blue Obama banner, and someone spray-painted Muslim liar on this banner. We don't know for a fact it's a Tea Partier, but they did misspell the word liar. L-I-E. At least they spelled Muslim correctly. You have to give them credit for that. So, someone's getting a new banner today. I found that kind of funny. But the big news of the day is the latest jobs report, which shows unemployment down past this mythical 8% mark. And they're talking about the U3 number. Unemployment falls to 7.8%. Now this, again, I assume would be good news for America, which of course means the right wing hates it. And now again, if I'm running a political campaign, and I'm someone who said, the U3 number is a number that politicians use, again, to make the numbers look a little better than they are. But with, and this is a normal fact, revisions get made to these job estimates. The last couple of months have been boosted up a little bit, a jump in part-time employment. But the fact is, right now, the official jobless number is 7.8%. Back to where it was when Obama took office, in the middle of, an economic catastrophe. Now, normally this would be easy to spin away. If I'm a Republican operative, right, I can still talk about how the economy is not where it needs to be. The problem is, if I'm a Republican operative today, I have to deal with the Republican base. And they're not so big on facts, figures, numbers. So Can you guess what they immediately jumped to? Bring up, this is the, I don't know if it's still the front page of Fox News. I think it is, but it was as of about 10 o'clock this morning. Showing the, you bring that Fox News? Okay. We have what can only be described as job report truthers. I'm not making this up. I'm not joking or mocking much. This is what is actually happening right now. And this goes all the way from right-wing pundits. Yeah, here's the jobless rate dips under 8%. But is the number real? Dun, dun, dun. Don your tinfoil magic underwear. And
I've never thought 7.8 was a real number.
no, I'm assuming, in math you learn. I don't know, maybe they believe it's an irrational number or something. Maybe they're math truthers.
I only believe in prime numbers.
But it's not just Fox News. This was CNBC today. Talking to, the Secretary of Labor. And this is CNBC today talking with the Secretary of Labor about today's new jobs number. Fire that bad boy up. Work in progress?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some new commercial breaks loaded. Sorry, I'll be right on it.
Okay, let me know when it's up and ready. John McCain is a truther. Alan West, the Tea Party congressman from Florida. I mean, it's endemic. And I got me, it is really, as a member of the liberal media, it is very exhausting. All the time we spend skewing poll numbers, faking climate change. I mean, it's very difficult being one of us. But this was CNBC today, and look who they point to.
People out there do not believe the 7.8 number. They believe that somehow BLS fixed this to coincide with the election cycle. What is Labor's response?
I'm insulted when I hear that because we have a very professional civil service organization where you have top economists that work at the BLS. They've been doing these calculations. These are our best trained and best skilled individuals that have been working in the BLS. And it's really ludicrous to hear that kind of statement. And I say that because just look at we have to look at what happens across the board, not just in 1 month, but look what happened in the last 2 months. We also saw revisions there, upwards of 86,000 additional jobs added. But this brings us now to 5.2 million private sector jobs across the board. We saw 104 private sector jobs created. We still need to do more. We know that there is still that willingness for all of us to see that more people are put back to work. But in this particular report, I'm happy to see that we see a continued growth in professions in business and also in local government, education, but more importantly in healthcare.
Seems like a very straightforward answer.
I know something about. I've been
How will CNBC react?
More investments in manufacturing, in high-skilled labor areas. That's where we need to play the focus, and we need Congress to cooperate with us so that we can make sure that we keep taxes low.
Believe me, I know we can go through all the talking points we do every month, Madam Secretary. Congress needs to do more, but I want to read you one tweet from Jack Welch, who used to run General Electric, a man who I think most people would argue knows a bit about how economic data is created. This is his tweet this morning, Madam Secretary. Unbelievable jobs numbers. These Chicago guys will do anything. Can't debate, so numbers. What do you say to him?
I mean, this is literally what the right wing has gotten to.
That's a really stupid point, though.
Well,
I mean,
how about just this?
So Obama can't debate, but he performed, so that makes him unqualified?
No. Is that
I know
we
that
lost, we lost the debate, so we have to.
Yeah, I understand they're trying to say they fabricated the numbers.
Why didn't we just think of this 6 months ago?
I don't know. It's crazy.
Why? See, this is how incompetent Obama is. He can only skew the jobs numbers leading up to the election.
He's a dummy.
And Jack Welch, again, is held up by some as a paragon of American success, right? A CEO that knows what's up. And it's not just CNBC. I saw a reporter for CBS. Instead, you can't even point out like the bat crap in the media these days. CBS is like, some claims that the numbers are fiddled with. Like, some claim giant ball of fire in sky must be worshipped or will go away. Claims that ships will fall off the edge of the earth. I mean, at some point, what do you use to treat bipolar disorder? Because that's the only thing.
Lithium, actually.
Yes, there's not a whole lot of it on the earth. But we need to start putting in the drinking water.
Yeah, but that's
or
what
something.
they use.
Yesterday, remember, it was right-wing group orgasm day. Right? We won the debate.
Is that why the whole sex tape came out?
Oh God, I watched that. It's not pretty.
I know. I saw.
It's not pretty. Yesterday was one day that righties didn't need the male enhancement pills that they sell so prominently on talk radio. Right? They had won the debate. Everything was fine. This was a roaring comeback. The entire election changed. And like that. 24 hours. Not even. And the world, again, comes crashing down. This is what happens when you kind of live in that Hannitized, idiot Fox News bubble. When reality punctures it, the results are ugly. As someone who was asked for a sane Republican Party, not because this isn't concern trolling. This isn't like when Hannity said, what Democrats need to do is just give George Bush everything, and that'll help them win elections. That, the stupid advice righties give. I just want real parties in the country. That debate, that push forward. Progress. And we simply don't have it. We have xenophobic, scared, impotent, in some ways, bigoted, shriveled up husk of a party. That, thanks to modern, PR techniques, thank you, Edward Bernays, can still garner, what's the floor for Romney? Probably 45%, 44%? I mean, is a realistic floor. Like, won't go below that. There's enough, go Team Red, that they could nominate a grapefruit. Look at 2008's VP choice. And would still... they would all of a sudden become vitamin C-ists. This is a deeply troubled Republican Party. And not just, Gallup showing another gain for Obama today. Or even, it seems, from non-political nerds, from I'm going to sit down and watch 90 minutes of this debate. In fact, I'm going to buy those little clips to hold your eyeballs open because I don't want to miss a second. The folks who weren't paying attention or it was on in the background or playing Boggle or something during a debate or had the PlayStation fired up, whatever. The one takeaway from the debate was the Big Bird. That was the one thing that seems to have stuck around to the point where Rick Santorum mentioned eating Big Bird today. Go to my Twitter feed, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. I'm not making this up. This isn't a figment of anyone's imagination. This actually happened. Again, are the job numbers great? No, I can, but again, the Republican Party isn't in a place where their own constituents will allow them to have a sane and rational discussion about unemployment numbers.
Well, they're in defense mode.
The fix is in. I thought yesterday was everything had changed and it was morning in America.
And yet I got attacked on radio yesterday for not wanting to vote, period. You
got to vote.
I don't have to vote.
You have to vote. If you don't vote, you don't get to bitch.
And that's the stupidest logic I've ever. That is dumb.
Like,
that's
people
dumb
literally
logic.
died for your right to vote.
They literally died for my right to express my opinion. My opinion is both these guys suck, and I refuse to vote for either one of them. And that's the right they died. That's the right that I have that they died for.
Right in,
well, I'll probably write somebody in. I mean, right now it's a toss-up between Jesus Christ and Mickey Mouse. But,
I'd have to see a long-form birth certificate for Jesus.
Well, that's.
I have documentation that he was allegedly born somewhere else.
Yeah, there is good documentation for that. So maybe I write in Mickey Mouse.
I don't know about good.
Mickey Mouse probably all right, though, right? I mean, because he was born in Florida, right?
Yeah, but he spent most of his time in Asia these few days.
Of course, few years. His creator was a socialist, so.
Walt?
Yeah.
Walt was like an angry union buster.
Yeah.
Try to unionize Disney animators, and you'll find yourself blacklisted very fast. That actually happened.
Yeah, he's actually a hypocrite, but that's beside the point. So maybe we'll think of something. We'll find somebody to write in. That'll be the challenge.
But at least as long as you vote. If you don't vote, that's when I have a problem.
Well, I'm not going to stay home, but I may not vote in that race. That may not be a race I feel.
That is acceptable. I would be okay. Republicans were literally in Nevada. None of the above. The Monty Brewster option.
Sure.
Was on the ballot. Republicans were trying to get that taken off the ballot. They were afraid.
Yeah, no,
that it would hurt Mitt Romney.
There'll be a ballot from me, whether or not it has a check mark for a candidate or not.
That's all I am.
Is different.
And vote for the Polk County Water and Conservation as well while you're there.
Now that you suggest, I'm probably prone not to.
You're anti-clean water?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a Republican.
Well, I am anti-privatized or government water source. I don't know. I don't like
Waterworks?
I do not like the fact that Waterworks does not have to give you a good notice when they're going to shut you off. Because I'm that guy that automatic pays stuff and then loses his credit card that automatic pays it. And I come home one day and, take a crap and I can't flush my toilet. And it's frustrating. And it's happened about a dozen times in the last 10 years.
Stop not paying your bill.
It's not a not paying.
There is a convenient way of dealing with this.
I lose my card and it becomes a problem. It's not.
All right.
It's never been I couldn't pay. I always had it on that night. They changed the card number.
Producer Dan, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, boy. All right. So, yes, we have job. I haven't thought of a convenient term for the job numbers truthers. Jobbers? Workers? What? I can't think of a good mainstream Republicans, I guess, will have to do. But I think it's still like the front page of Fox. Is the number real? Dun, dun, dun. Do we need, by the way, more proof that Republicans are rooting against our country? I mean, I know it's kind of verboten to say, but the party of, let Detroit go bankrupt, and my number one job is, making Barack Obama one-term president, is now literally rooting against economic success. Do you need any more proof? Again, I know the president is too presidential to say such a thing, but luckily I'm not. I'm the guy wearing a Captain Planet t-shirt. I'm pretty much... No, seriously.
Yeah, you're the guy that took the time to watch the Hulk Hogan sex tape.
There's only 1 minute of it posted on the Gawker site.
That is 1 minute more of my life that I have not wasted.
As a wrestling fan in the 80s, I mean, I'm sorry, this is a man who, for his country, headbutted a Soviet flag. Hulk Hogan taught an entire generation, again, to train and say their prayers and take their vitamins, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
And to wear bandanas when you're going bald? That's
perfectly normal. That man did not get hair plugs, didn't do the Donald Trump comb over. He took it like a man and covered it up with a do-rag. I'm all right with that. Again, like the Saturday night main event wrestling, I mean, just, again, as a child of the 80s, because wrestling is something that appeals to 8-year-olds and people who have a thing for oiled up men in spandex. We don't, there's nothing wrong with that unless you're a Republican elected official. In which case, seriously, have a airport travel buddy is all I'm saying. All right, taking a break. We are going to move. Actually, it's a somewhat connected issue. This reality has an inherent liberal bias, so I will replace it with one of my own creation. And why Mr. Frank Mink there and I are friends. I finally figured it out last night. Why you and I get along so well. We have the same stupidity. I'll explain when we come back. Go to thebradshawshow.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. We can converse that way, or just email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Back right after this on Webcast One Live. You don't need it.
Ever get tired of pretending that life is perfect? If what they see isn't how you feel, God knows, and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Rephrase the question. A lot of people out there do not believe the 7.8 number.
Concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
It's just too good. One day, the Republicans have had one day out of the last 3 months of feeling hope and we're going to win. No, really, we mean it this time and everything's fine and great. And the next day, it's great. I told you guys not to worry about a bad debate performance. Ask Walter Mondale, Mike Dukakis, Ross Perot, John Kerry, all people who have decidedly won, debates. And it did a great deal for their presidency, did it not? Trust me. Not my first rodeo. I'll let you know when to panic. And at the very least, and this is the one, my big takeaway, other than the Big Bird thing, just because, again, I will always, in some way, shape, or form, be that child sitting down, watching Mr. Rogers take us to a crayon factory. That was like the best segment he ever did. The one great takeaway, Dan, I think you're with me on this, looking at that debate stage, even as Obama got smoked like a member of the Choom gang, was that right there on stage, Steve Deace was having a horrible time. Because no matter who wins, he's, I mean, the Muslim Kenyan usurper and a Mormon. So again, that's something I can take solace in. That no matter what happens, Steve Deace will hate the result. So again, there's just, you got to look for the little things in life.
Yeah, but I feel the same way. It doesn't really matter.
I know, but you're not a hateful rocking back mess of a person.
Well, I go out of my way not to be hateful, but I definitely.
You and I get along just fine.
We do. I get along with both you guys in that room, and we're kind of opposed to each other. But that's
See, I'm not opposed to you. See, that's just.
I don't agree with your ideals, Frankie. How about that? Okay. You don't agree with mine. It's okay.
We're making friends and influencing people. Frank Mink is my guest today.
What's my backdrop? Oh,
you're in the Death Star.
Okay.
You're on the inside. I'm on the outside. I'm an outsider.
Yes. I'm in there tight.
I figured out you, long story short, wrote a book, Autobiography of a Recovering Skinhead.
Yes.
Available at fine booksellers everywhere.
Everywhere.
Although you'd prefer them to buy the physical copy because you make more money off that.
Yes. But either way, I love that the story gets out there. It's so funny to hear who are fans of my book, like famous people who...
They don't pay you the same for the digital copy?
No, not at all.
Well, now I got to go buy a paperback so I can have you sign it anyway. But
yeah,
I have the digital copy. I didn't realize you didn't make the same kind of money.
I don't care.
Well,
I really
do.
don't. Yeah, I think it's just cool people are reading it. So,
but Frank, you were a Nazi.
Absolutely.
Young
neo-Nazi.
Yeah. Now makes your living telling people that perhaps Nazism is not a good thing.
It's one of the ways I make a living. There's other things I do, but yes.
But I figured out last time, we were reading because some of the stuff we're going to talk about. I figured out why you and I are friends, because we have the same stupidity, deficiency, and that is with your life story. You could literally make millions of dollars a year. All you would have to do, I mean, and this isn't like
I'm listening.
Making a joke.
No, I'm listening.
Is all you would have to do, though, is go, to media outlets and talk about how, it was the power of, American prosperity gospel version Jesus that saved you. P.S. Liberals are the real racists. That message right there. I mean, and you could get, some sort of Ann Coulter.
Yeah, I was just thinking I'd be opening for Ann Coulter. Yeah.
Books for you. But that's literally $1 million industry in this country. You could make millions doing that.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to believe it or think any of it. But if you would just put it down on paper and do it, via satellite on Fox and Friends, you would make mad bank. You have... the background, you have the authenticity. You could do that.
I could, but my message that I try to get out is of compassion, and that doesn't really go well with the Fox
this isn't
News.
About
my real message.
This is making mad bank.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
The same way that, look, if I could just go on and pull a Glenn Beck, right? Use my entertaining radio skills to preach the end of the world, sell gold and whatever. I would probably still have a job right now. I would be, a rising star. I'm just too stupid to not do a Republic. I mean, dude, I've seen Sean Hannity work. It ain't that hard.
You just have to read everything different than the way you read things now.
I don't have to do that. Being a talk radio host, a lot of outside organizations just make assumptions. I was on the Heritage Foundation's mailing list. Like, I got my talking points if I wanted to do that sort of show. Sent to me every day. I mean, true story. I mean, Sean Hannity's a really nice guy, but I've seen him show prep. And all he does is just fires up the Drudge Report. That's it. Like, he had a couple, assistants with him. They were looking for printers and were very upset we didn't have Wi-Fi. But all they did was print out, like, here's the wording for your Carbonite live read at, 2:58.
Mm-hmm.
And mention, the Heritage Foundation at 3:35. That's it. That is all they would print out for him. The rest is literally just delivered by these think tanks, the Drudge Report. I mean, it's all taken care of. I mean, it would be so easy to do. I'm just not that bright. And that hit me last time. You mentioned David Barton last time we talked.
Yes.
And it was like, have you ever heard of this guy? And that's when, the fireworks start going off. Like, finally, other people are hearing about this stuff. David Barton is the right wing's favorite historian.
He's kind of like a Joseph Goebbels.
Well, let's not Godwin things just yet.
Okay.
His job, what he does and how he makes mad bank is feeding right-wingers, evangelicals, and the like, a version of history that conforms to their preconceived notions. I mean, just some of his greatest hits. For example, did you know that DNA evidence is actually a biblical concept? Like modern CSI, DNA evidence actually comes from the Bible. The Second Amendment comes from the Bible. What are some of? And attacks on him are literally fueled by Satan. That's his latest. But he is a historian, is the official job title. Who Glenn Beck sort of made into a right wing superstar. How did he end up on your radar?
I had heard about him maybe about 2-3 years ago. Something about him writing up some stuff for the Texas school books. He was on their forum. He was on their board for writing curriculum. And so someone told me and said, have you heard of this guy? And I said, no, not really. And they said, well, he spoke for some Aryan Nation stuff before. And I didn't, this wasn't that far-fetched, but I said, let me check into it. And lo and behold, here he was on 2 forums before for Jesus Christ Christian, their platform, which was Aryan Nations. That was the old name for Aryan Nations. And so I started looking, and he was right in there with the whole cahoots of all of them. And then I've seen a number of complaints about David Barton, like from his own publisher, even. Right.
I've never seen the racist angle. Like, was he preaching Christian identity? Was he just preaching to believers in the Christian identity movement?
He was. I wasn't there for it, and what I've read of it and seen of it was just him being there and maybe backing up some of the rhetoric. To what degree, I don't know. So I'm not going to put him out there as he was being a racist, but he was definitely there. He definitely knew what the room was. There was no doubt about it, but I think it paid, and it goes back to that making money. I think also once he got done with that, he started realizing, I'm getting pennies to work for these guys, or I'm getting pennies to go do that, because that's all the Aryan Nations could afford. And if I stay with this group, I'm going to make a lot more money. So he kind of cut them guys right out and went on to his other groups, which were just more mainstream.
His group is Wall Builders, but he certainly he was a Republican Party co-chair in Texas. Did work with various groups looking to take over. And why Texas matters when it comes to textbooks is that being so large, textbook publishers, and I highly recommend the book Lies My Teachers Told Me, if you want to get into, again, how, modern day history textbooks, right? Not stuff you find from Bob Jones University, or not stuff from the ACLU. Have a point of view. Because, again, their goal is to sell textbooks to school districts. The particular power that Texas has, because their buying power is so large, every textbook manufacturer this side of Bob Jones University caters to their whims. The books are written to appeal to Texas. So when Iowa goes to, or when the West Des Moines Community School District Leaders in Learning wants to buy a textbook, what's offered? Texas is highly influential in this. This is why you've seen a move by creationists to take over as many school boards as they can get their hands on. You'd think, by the way, that perhaps Barton would have lost some prestige after his own publisher, Thomas Nelson Publishers, after looking at his latest book, The Jefferson Lies. Thomas Jefferson is a bit of a hurdle for the evangelical movement in the sense of we were founded as a Christian nation, in spite of what our own documents say. Go read the Treaty of Tripoli sometime, seriously. Thomas Jefferson was always a big hurdle to get over as the originator of the, separation of church and state. He's hard to claim as an evangelical, considering that he re-edited his own Bible to remove all of the supernatural, remove the miracles and the like from the lives of Jesus. Believe that Jesus had a message, as a philosophy. So again, he was a tough nut to crack, and David Barton was going to try to do this. And the book was a bestseller, but after criticism popped up, NPR in particular did a very stinging critique, which might have something to do with certain debate tactics. Sorry, Big Bird. But not only did they pull the book because they had lost confidence in its facts, they asked retailers to not sell it anymore and distance themselves from it.
And certain conservatives started reading it, right? I mean, I heard there was a panel of 10 Christian conservative professors started reading it and started coming back and saying, this isn't true, and it's going to take away from our real arguments that he's putting out this far-fetched stuff.
Yeah, that was basically what the argument was. It was so out there and so outlandish. You are getting in the way of our real attempts to undermine the separation of church and state. But he was just on like the Glenn Beck show, yesterday or the day before, talking about how, all these polls show Romney down, and when he wins, it will be the hand of God at work. Again, all these predictions that will mysteriously disappear after Election Day. But I think he was just on like yesterday, saying, that my book, caused such a tussle. It's literally satanic inspired. The attacks on.
Does anybody else find it odd that these guys are touting that the hand of God will be at work if Romney wins, when Romney isn't a Christian and his religion is very far separated from Christianity?
Glenn Beck's a Mormon, so.
Well, I understand why Glenn Beck would think that.
But Glenn Beck has successfully, and when I started in talk radio, the quickest way to get hung up on the Glenn Beck show was to mention that he was a Mormon. You would get hung up on, he would change the topic, he would never address it. And now he is doing those, and I'm a Mormon promotional videos. He's very upfront about it. And exactly in an attempt to kind of change, then people like your opinion that are very anti-Mormon, because that is a big thing.
I'm not anti-Mormon. I'm just not going to tell somebody that a Mormon's a Christian or a Christian's a Mormon.
Well, there's a chunk of the evangelical base that feels exactly.
Yeah, they can live here. They can be my next door neighbor. They can do whatever they want. I don't particularly want them. I'm not going to actively elect them into government above me, but that doesn't mean I'm anti-Mormon.
But like particularly when Rick Santorum was having his surge from behind. I can't help it.
Yeah, nice play on words.
But a lot of Santorum supporters then took to the Christian radio airwaves to talk about Romney being a cult member. There was
the Rick Perry guy. The guy who went at his One of his speeches.
The response was that?
Yeah, the guy came out and said, well, he was introducing Rick Perry and then said, because at least he's not in a cult, and was making all these references to Mitt, and then went public and said, well, it is a cult. And now that he is now elected, or now going, had won the primary, now that same minister, I don't know his name, he's a little small, little creepy guy, looks like guy from Children of the Corn, but he goes on and says that, well, they're now in the fourth line of the Abraham books. So now he's taking it back and saying, well, at least and if he isn't the Christian I am, at least he has the same morals that I do, that, he doesn't want to kill babies and have homosexuals running around everywhere. So he's better than, the guy who likes gays. That's what he said.
Yeah, I don't understand that, because the most important thing here for me is maintaining the deity of Jesus, and that's something they would argue. I mean, I don't really care about the rest of stuff.
But they believe that he is the son of Elohim, who, over his brother Lucifer, was chosen to be the savior of Earth and come back and rule in the Garden of Eden in Jackson County, Missouri.
Except there's a lot of problems with that. First off,
where do you start there, Dan?
You've got a Lorenzo Snow that said, as God is, man once was, or as man is, God once was, and as God is, man will be. And that's a real telling thing. This religion, they seek to be gods, and there's people throughout history.
If you live your life according to Mormon scripture, you will receive your own planet.
Who else in history, Frank, and you should know this, wanted to be a god?
Well, that's and they had to change religion to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's talking about now they were a cult. Nazism was a cult. I mean, they went off the blood of the flag, and it had Christianity tones with cult beliefs. I mean, but I don't know about them. I know a lot about the Mormon faith. I would never.
It's hard not to Godwin things when a former Nazi is on your show.
Yeah, I do. I read huge chunks of the Book of Mormons at one time, and I've just had meetings with some Mormons recently about being part of a documentary, and so. One of the good things I do like about them is that they do believe that it goes off the good deeds you do on earth, which I know sometimes is not.
Yeah, and I like I said, I think they'll make great neighbors, but when we come down to whose religion is superior or whatever, I'm not going to put down my flag and be like, oh, they're like me, because they're not at all. Okay. And the motivation behind
you stand by that.
Yeah,
a lot of people changed.
And the motivation behind me being a Christian isn't that I'm going to be a god, and it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference in how we approach life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there's no hell neither, and I like that.
I
like any religion has no hell.
There is a hell. It's only for apostate Mormons.
This is starting to sound.
You get spirit prison, Frankie.
Wow.
To me, a lot like the people who argue, could the USS Enterprise defeat a Star Destroyer?
Well, that's stupid.
Everybody I know the Enterprise would win, but
no way. Okay, you can't be behind the Death Star and then talk about a Trekkie.
I'm sorry, man, but the Empire
I'll do it.
did not have quantum torpedoes.
You know what, though? They had the Force. Darth Vader would have just stopped whatever it is. It'd been perfect.
I know, but what are you going to do? Keep Data from breathing? He can still fire. Moot point. Besides, have you seen the size of one of those Federation star bases? Even against the Death Star.
Do you realize that Death Star is fully operational?
Yeah, but not until the second Death Star were the, firing abilities. The first Death Star could hit a planet. Anything can hit a planet.
Yeah, but have you ever seen...
It took until the second Death Star that they could actually, shoot a capital ship out of space.
Could the USS Enterprise ever take out a planet, though? That's really the question.
Well, now, if we want to use the transporters
and Jean-Luc
deal
Picard,
with tectonic plates, which, again... the Enterprise has done before.
And let's be honest, Jean-Luc Picard couldn't choke people with his thoughts.
He doesn't need to.
It's just not as cool.
He has a flute, man.
It's all right. We all know you're a nerd. Big Trekkie nerd.
I'm aware of this. I don't know. Do you think a guy like David Barton, though, getting back to the topic, really believes this stuff, or is this just a really kick-ass job?
No, I think he believes it. He does. He believes it. He eats it. He breathes it. I mean, just use me as an example. I truly believed what I was learning. Even when I look back on it now, I'm like, oh my, wait, I believe that. he believes it. Of course he does. And that's what's dangerous, because it's true to him, and it's not really true.
And this is what makes guys like Beck and Barton, and I'll use the word dangerous. There's just enough reality. Like today, before you came on, we were talking about how Republicans are reacting to the job report.
Mm-hmm.
You know, tinfoil, it's a made-up number, it's fake. That's easy to laugh at. What the guys like Barton or Beck do is, again, there's enough reality interwoven
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't sound completely, bat crap, Faraday cage, the cell phone signals are infesting my brain. Just one example. And this is recent. These are recent events. On his Wall Builders Live radio show, which I'm sure is heard on many. That's not on any local Christian stations, is it?
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, good. I don't want to offend anyone. Yeah, I do. But he said, so what happens is Louis Gohmert and Michelle Bachmann and Trent Franks and some others write a letter, and they say, have you guys actually investigated these ties? Talking about Michelle Bachmann's letter claiming that the Muslim Brotherhood was infesting the U.S. government. And so all they did was ask a question. And, of course, the administration, when they got that letter, instead of answering the question, they released it to the media and said, look at what these guys are doing. Now, again, yes, Michelle Bachmann and Frank, Louis Gohmert, but they released it publicly. Like Michelle Bachmann put it on her website.
Yeah.
But in David Barton's view, the administration leaked it to the press. And so suddenly they get attacked for having accused a person of being a part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's clearly not what the letter said. Actually, the letter named, for example, Huma Abedin as... So again,
Wiener's wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so undercover, she married one of the most pro-Israel Jewish members of the House of Representatives.
She's good.
It's that deep a cover.
That's good.
You just change one or two facts, though. All of a sudden, it's a completely different story, and that's how these guys work.
Glenn, but when you said dangerous, I believe Glenn Beck is completely dangerous with his followers, and I listen here and there, and especially when we worked on the other network, I would listen regularly, and just you seeing it going more and more over the deep end all the time. It was just continuously, and then it started beating that drum, and then the chalkboards came out on the Fox network, and it was just dangerous. I mean, he's drawing lines to almost anything you do goes back to the old Soviet bloc. I mean, he would just
George Soros.
George Soros.
Jewish banker. George Soros.
So, and it was truly like there is no peace unless you're ready to fight the lefties and the socialists.
The good news is that most of the fans of this sort of thing, and I mean this, I use this word in all of its possible terms, are a bunch of just impotent old men, angry at the world and yelling at the clouds. I've read enough Free Republic to know.
It all started when we let them ride on the front of the bus. It goes back like that far when you listen. I mean, if you really listen to what they're saying, it's the Civil Rights Act was so horrible because, and it goes all the way back to that. When you start to read what they're saying, it's like it's that old man. It used to be better the old way. To me, it used to be really bad the old way.
As Chancellor Palpatine teaches us, all who have power fear losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about just political power, being president, being a congressman. How about, being the preferred race in this country?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason Mitt Romney won't be asked for his birth certificate.
Right.
Like he was talking about in Michigan. There's a reason that ineffectual men are so angry at even the thought of an equal rights amendment for women. as a member of the favored class and the favored race. And I know people don't like to hear this because, again, according to Republicans, racism is over and really only people who bring it up.
They're just race baiting all the time.
Yeah.
That's the
They're
key.
the real racists.
Mm-hmm. As Ann Coulter just wrote a book about it.
Yeah. But again, that feeds into that narrative, and they will rush to spend their money on it. It's why you and I are dumb.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made duping these marks out of their cash. Ask Bob Vanderplatz. It could be a very lucrative career. Dan just groaned. What, is he a guest later on the...
Oh no, I don't care. You bash all of them.
No, I mean, he's a grifter. He is. Again, I'm so old.
Wait. No, you're a band of Bob Vanderplat.
Oh,
supporter?
no.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was gonna say then our friendship might end.
No,
but I'm so old.
I don't even know what he does. I've met him a couple times here. I don't care what he does.
I'm so old. I remember when Bob Vanderplatz was the CEO candidate for governor and kept losing.
Are you impotent too?
No,
I will. As soon as you are, you'll be voting Republican, though, right?
Maybe I'll get some male enhancement pills off of talk radio, and don't pay my taxes, so I need their tax referral. Those are like the only two things they advertise anymore. Male enhancement pills and do you have tax problems? We can help. It's kind of freaky, but a guy like Bob Vanderplatz found success finally by not having his name on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he got 40% of the primary vote. It wasn't until it was these guys like gay marriage, let's vote them out.
Yep.
And it was kind of, again, sort of an easier bar. I mean, I know people who just vote against judges anyway because, as my AP U.S. history teacher at Valley said, no one ever votes them out anyway, so I'm just going to vote no. So you always have that kind of built-in 25, 30% that vote no. All you have to do is, again, get that to 50% plus one. It's a short hurdle. Even Lolo Jones could jump over that in the Olympics. Sorry, but it's topical. And he turned that into a $120,000 a year job. So no surprise we're seeing the no to Wiggins, another of the judges who ruled unanimously for same-sex marriage in the state, or more correctly, against the ban on same-sex marriage. And it looks like he's flailing. Does anyone want to bet that perhaps his 3-year contract will not be renewed if Justice Wiggins retains his seat? Anyone want to put?
I would love it. I don't know if he would. I think he's got his, because he also has 4 other groups.
Well, the Iowa Family Leader, the former Iowa Family Policy Center, when their federal money came to light and that magically dried up. Oh, now we're not going to take our federal money.
Yeah.
Once it became known that we were taking federal money. They needed a fundraiser in chief, and Bob Vanderplatz has been very effective in that role, primarily based on anti-gay, anti-same-sex marriage and piety. And he's turned that, again, into a very lucrative career. And if he loses, that's a pretty big ding.
And this is one of the things with the Bob Vanderplat is when I hear him speak, I hear him say, our speech is not about hate, and it's not about, shame. It is about love. It is about the truth for our nation. That is the same stuff I used to hear all the time in the movement. It's not about hate of the black man and the Jews. It's about love of the white race and the pride of the white race. It's like the same exact rhetoric, the same tone, the same. And that's why when I listen to him, I think, he would have been, he'd be a Klansman back in the 30s. He would have been one of those guys running how can I hold on to what I got and financially now? But, we vote out every time that the judges vote for something. I want the alcohol limit to be dropped a little bit more on my drunk driving. I want it to be 0.2, and so should we all get together and vote them out? Like, I don't get it. Is that what we do now? We just vote out every time they make a
I don't think Michael Kiernan would support that. It goes both ways, people. No, just the rhetoric gets more heated, because it loses its effectiveness over over time. At some point, it's not the barn burned that it used to be. So you got to ramp up the rhetoric, and that's the part that that does scare me. Where just the one example, the guy who loaded up his car full of guns to go shoot up the ACLU and the Tides Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. That is a direct Glenn Beck. I mean, Glenn Beck, I don't even know what the Tides Foundation is. Until it started to end up on the chalkboard. Next thing you know, someone's got a car full of guns going to shoot him up. Fortunately or unfortunately, the California Highway Patrol got a hold of this guy first, pulled him over, and got into a shootout with Ponch and John. That's what this rhetoric leads to.
Well, here's...
Not universally.
No, but here's the fact. When I see something, and when I see a guy, and this came out the last election, where a guy, Bob Vanderput, sitting in the front of the room, a guy tells a stupid joke, right? Did you remember this?
Yeah, some sort of fag joke.
Right, yeah, it was a fag joke about you can't smoke a fag here, but you can marry one, using the English language.
No.
Okay. And so Bob Vanderput doesn't laugh. He smickers at it and kind of looks away and looks at the camera like, uh-oh. But, he's kind of like, so here's the deal. You have to know that you're putting out something that you know that this guy could not wait to tell him that joke. He could not wait to tell Bob Vander. If people start coming up to me like, Frank, I got to tell you this racist joke, and they go off and tell me the joke, it's because I must be putting something out there that people are saying, oh, I got to tell Frank.
This is who I'm attracting. This is who I'm making a fan of.
That's the truth right there. That little moment right there shows some people the truth. Not that Bob Vanderput, kind of smiled at the joke and looked at the camera because he knew he couldn't laugh.
That guy was excited to come.
Oh yes, I get
Vanderplats will love this.
Yes. What are you feeding into? What are people? You're feeding that hatred. And that right there shows that this guy could not wait to come and tell Bob. That's what I look at.
I had never thought of it from that perspective, mostly because I look at it from the grifting side.
Yeah. No, I look at it as a human being and how I act and how I react and what kind of compassion I show, that nobody would come to me and tell me a racist joke today. It's just something that people don't do. They know that it's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to say something in front of my children that is racist or homophobic. It's not acceptable in my household. And so that obviously he puts out enough that people think, I can't wait to say this.
Talking with Frank Mink, former Nazi, now peace ambassador.
Nice.
I
love it.
You go around and you talk to groups and you talk to schools. You kind of tell them your story and where it's led you in life.
And more of my thing now has been prison. But a lot of my talks now have been prisons, juvenile detention centers, kids that I think I truly can help. Obviously, I love doing college lectures because I can be, look at my YouTube speeches or curse late and talk about everything from women's anatomy. I talk about the whole thing and make it fun, but make it a human thing. But when I do the juvenile detention centers is where I talk about how when I was a kid, I looked up to thugs and criminals and racists, and that was what was cool to me. And then as I got older, I started to remember there was that uncle that used to take me fishing who didn't have any prison stories, kind of was a boring guy, just took me fishing.
No prison stories.
Yeah. And then I started to realize that he was the true hard guy in my life. He was the guy who took time out of his day with his kids to come pick me up because my dad wasn't around, and he knew that I was already going down the wrong. I tell them stories, and I turn that story to where juvenile detention centers has been my real thing now. So,
but see, it's not that lucrative.
Oh, it's horrible.
I told you, man, you could make. Again, I'm not kidding. You could make millions. You could be, a right-wing star.
I sold my soul once before. I'm not going to do it again.
All right, Frank Mink, the book Autobiography of a Recovering Skinhead. Buy the paperback version. Didn't come in hardcover.
No.
Right? He makes more money off that than if you buy the iBooks or the Kindle. But it is not a comforting read, but you won't put it down. It's better than 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some good love stories in there.
I wouldn't go that far. Frank's been,
I don't remember any good love stories.
No, what? How I met my wife is in there. God damn it. That's a good story.
Well, yeah, but I thought you meant like 50 Shades of Grey style love stories.
Well, the night I lost my virginity's in there, and that's a good story. It's 2 different girls in one night. What are you talking about?
I didn't even get. Yeah, I have to have you back now because
Yeah.
in the same sense that like a David Barton turned the religious right into a money making venture, Bob Vanderplatz, the Islamophobia industry, and it is an industry.
Oh yeah, there's that woman. I can't think of her
Pamela
name.
Geller.
Oh my God, she's horrible.
But is a constant guest on like We Hate Others Radio.
Mm-hmm.
She can literally offer her support for Anders Breivik, the guy who went up and shot up a kids camp.
Mm-hmm.
Who can again cite her and her friends as inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
She can offer her support for his motivations and still be accepted into polite right-wing society. So we'll have to have you on again to talk
Whenever.
about that, especially since 2009. What happened that year that would maybe make right-wingers, like on January 20th or so, 2009? What would have happened that would cause a bunch of right-wingers to all of a sudden fear the Islamic takeover of him? Oh, it was Inauguration Day. That's right. Now it all. It was the same day, magically, that Republicans like Chuck Grassley started caring about the debt and the deficit. So it was a really powerful day in American history. So Frank Brink has been my guest. Go to thebradshawshow.com for almost all of your Bradshaw needs. Email me at radiobradshaw@gmail.com. And stop by and say hi on Twitter. Maybe we'll tweet about the MLB playoffs tonight. What are you going to do without hockey this year?
It'll be back. I've just been playing a lot now, so playing 2 nights a week and
as an American, I wasn't even really aware that we had an NHL.
Yeah, down there. Last night I played without a shift change. Played for 45 minutes straight.
I saw that. I was
45
impressed.
minutes straight. No.
What happened to the Hartford Whalers, by the way?
They're a farm team now. There's the American Hockey League. Hartford Whalers.
Where'd they go?
They went to Carolina.
Oh, that's a hotbed of hockey.
They won the Stanley Cup right after they got there. Don't come with your not knowing history. I'll have to slam you on this.
What? I know history. I just don't care about hockey.
Oh,
I have. Do you want to see my long form American birth certificate? Not my sport.
All right.
Go Orioles. We'll reconvene on Monday, and who knows what the Republicans will be wearing the tinfoil at that day. But I guarantee you it'll be something. Anyway, have fun. Thanks for watching. Go to thebradshawshow.com. Follow me on Twitter, and I will see you fine folks on Monday. Thanks for watching here on Webcast One Live.